now some of them are getting so many oil leaks. We've been doing a few engine removal, like the oil pans leak and the top ends leak, and we're like, we'll just pull the engine out, all new gaskets, all the Boltiani stuff, all those new gaskets, slap it back in, so you have a nice, clean driveway, no dripping oil everywhere. And
that's Christopher Johnson, today's guest on the Jaded Mechanic Podcast, part 2 of a conversation we put a pin in last week. So if you missed that episode, you can go back and listen to that on this same podcast platform. If you're here for part 2, you're in the right place. Christopher Johnson on the Jaded Mechanic Podcast, part 2, starts right now.
My old boss, he had one that was they raced it. It was a track car, turbocharged stick shift, fun little car to drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I never got a chance to drive, but he was like, or actually I did drive it, but not like just to drive it in to do, I think I put a battery in or something, because he ended up selling it to a friend, and the friend was still bringing it to the shop. It was like, it isn't my thing, that little type of car, but I mean, it was pretty cool. Like, you could see how somebody would really enjoy whipping that thing around a track, right? Because you're literally sitting on the asphalt. Like, it is low.
Yeah,
and then fat, like, makes some pretty good power for the weight of it, right? So,
yeah, they're a great driver's car, a great momentum car, especially, which is all I've ever raced. I mean, my race cars have been old Honda Civics with bare basic engines, and I'm out there, trying to beat Porsches, and most of the time succeeding. So, well, that's just in momentum or testicular fortitude, as they call it.
Did you ever see one of the ones that they'd been converted? I can remember way back when guys put like a 5-liter of a Mustang in one, and I guess it was a pretty reasonable swap, right? Because I mean, Mazda and Ford had kind of always been in bed together, right? So it was not hard to get the EFI system to work pretty well.
Yeah, I do know a guy that runs in CSCS, which up here is a Time Attack series. He's actually the son of the former owner of the Peterborough Mazda store. They've got an NB Miata with an LS engine in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very popular swap as well. Is LS all the things, right?
Well, that's it. LS fixes everything, right? This I remember seeing at a car show probably back in 98, 99. And they called it the Monster Miata. And I think it was somebody from Texas initially came up with the idea of putting it in there. Somebody, I'm sure, if you're listening to this episode and you want to chime in on who you've seen do it or how it was been done. I've seen more of the LS ones online. I've never seen one in person, but I remember seeing this 5-liter way back when, jammed in them. And I'm like, okay, now that'd be fun to drive, because, I don't think you could probably get it to go around the corner like the original car used to, the same way, but it'd be fun in a straight line. Like,
not quite the same way. You'd get it to turn with the gas pedal.
Yes. Right.
That's kind of the Carroll Shelby method, right? So it makes sense for Texas doing that. But if it is, throw it. And add power, make light.
Yeah. And I mean, Texans are a little, they love crazy things. Everything's bigger there. My buddy John Firm reminds me all the time that it's like, Texas is the last thing that's to the promised land. So there all the time he's like, you should really come here. And I'm like, I know, I want to. So it's got big bass, big barbecue, lots of guns, fast cars. Like, it'd be a good place to live, I think. But, so what, so your summer plans, will you go racing this summer?
I probably won't. I haven't been racing in several years. Like, my race cars have been mothballed for a better part of a decade, and probably continue to do that, especially with a 3 and a 5-year-old at home. Time is precious. Almost absent.
Yeah,
no time for anything.
You did ice racing too, right?
That's kind of how it started. I used to do autocross, which is just parking lot stuff. Then I did ice racing, which is curling with cars.
Yeah,
pretty well. It's on a custom built track up in Minden. They still do it, but and we used to do that quite a lot until we started getting into road racing, and you're spending a whole lot of time and effort to go up north to ice racing for a little bit, whereas we just took up chump car racing in the States, so doing 24-hour endurance races.
Mm-hmm.
Better bang for the buck. And but the cost of doing that is skyrocketed like everything else.
I remember reading years ago there was 24 hours of, instead of Le Mans, of lemons.
They are still still a going concern, and they're still hilarious racing.
Yeah. But I can remember reading about that in one of the magazines way back when, and it was like, it just looked like a ton of fun, But again, it's like anything else in racing, right? Money comes in, and then it kind of ruins the grassroots idea, right? Because then if you have no budget, it's just you're gonna win, right? Like if
they try and set the rules to that, but they can only police the rules so many times or so often. Like the first 20, it was a 25-hour, 25-minute, 25-second race, the longest race in the world at that time. You had to have a $500 car, and you can only spend so much on all the other stuff, which we genuinely did. It was an '89 Civic with it had our version of the LS, and the Hondas, it had the Acura LS engine with the 1.8 in it. But there's a Mercury Cougar up front with probably a 351 in it or something like that, running around, and a BMW finished second place with they've got more invested in their valve train than we do in our entire season of racing here. But
still a $500 car.
Yeah, but we finished third, so
there you go, right? Yeah, I mean, and that's that's the problem with racing, is like it's not the problem, but I mean, it just kind of, you kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, like, oh yeah, it's a $500 car, everything was free. Now, everybody tends to barter and trade, so I mean, it technically is free, but like, it's like, so you painted a guy's car and he gave you an engine, like, that's kind of not what like this should be about. But it is whatever. Nobody's getting rich racing, so I mean, it's like, at least the people that are that crazy about it are keeping the sport going, you know what I mean? And that's why
it's the attitude. I find it's the attitude you go in with, like the guy with the '88 Mustang with the Mazda 3 engine that came to us. He's always near the back. He doesn't give a toss. Couldn't care less. He'd rather blow a whole bunch of money and do that and finish at the back. He's having fun. Doesn't give a rat's behind. That's his thing. And that's, if you go in with that kind of attitude, you're always going to win. It doesn't matter. Like all the guys at the front, if they're cheating, whatever, they're always going to be doing that. They're in it to prove a point. And if your point is to just have fun, then get a bunch of guys, go have fun. And I think you can still do that. We have some races up here. I mean, just the entry to get in, because the cost of tires, cost of vehicles, cost of the track has gone up. That's the only thing that's gone up. But so have the right attitude.
I have a friend, she's from Sabo Beach, shout out to Susan. Her son, they run a team for, I don't know, it's like I want to call it what used to be Cass Car. They run a team, and
the Pinty's series, I think, what it's still called now.
Yeah, and I never realized how much money it was. Like when she tells me the tire bill for the weekend, and I'm like, it's what? For tires for the weekend to run that car? She's like, yeah. That's why, because some of them, like her son, there'll be big races, but he's not running them every time. And I'm like, wouldn't Dale be, couldn't get a sponsor for that race, so can't buy the tires, can't, And I'm like, I always thought, dumb me, when I was a kid, that it was like, oh yeah, like they blow the engine up every week, that's the biggest expense. No, it's not. It's the rubber, right? So she was saying, like, if they get a sponsor, it's normally for one race, and that buys the tires. And so if you go and win, and he does pretty good. He won a couple races last year, and they grew up in a NASCAR family. She's the first person I ever met that they were like, not the first person, but for Canadian diehard NASCAR. Like they drove to Daytona every year, drove down, watched the race. They were there when Dale died. Like her son's named Dale after Dale. Like it's, the sport's different now. I used to follow it when I was younger, and now I couldn't even tell you who's doing what and who's, it's just different, It's too bad. I think it's on its way out. It's just,
I haven't followed that series in quite a bit, but when I worked at the race shop and I was talking about expenses, we had say if we had customers going down south to Daytona or Sebring or whatever, running a Trans Am, if they're running the top level, I mean, even back then, say 10 or more years ago, you were spending $25,000 to run mid back of the pack in a Trans Am 1.
Yeah.
And that's your paying for your tires, your crew, your fuel, your several drums of fuel, your entry fee, all that jazz and whatnot, flights down and back. But that's just to have fun.
Yeah.
Because you might get a $1,000 check or something to pay for a tire and a half, if that.
Yeah, I just, when I think about it, and it's like, there's a guy, Robinson Automotive, out of Toronto. I don't know if you know him, and he used to be all over the racetrack up near there, Toronto or that area, and he was all over running some kind of Corvette series. Or they ran a vet in, and I don't know, but like it's the same thing. I can remember him saying 20 years ago, nobody's making money, but
yeah.
It's like, but you're running a vet around a track. You know what I mean? Like it's like, the name of the track escapes me. You'd know it. But I mean, I was just like, they're running vets around. Like that's still a $50,000 car back then. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like by the time
that'd be at Mosport probably.
Yes.
North of Bowmanville. That's my home, my second home. That's the race shop I worked at was actually in the infield.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, so like Kirk Robinson, he'd be there, running some of them. I can't remember the team names or whatever. And it was just like, but those guys would work, like, as they'd work all day he ran a shop, he owns a shop. And then they go and work on the car until 10, 11, 12 at night, every day of the week. Like, no, thank you.
It's a labor of love. Yeah. It's, it's that if you think of the automotive industry on our end is, weird and wacky, then the racing industry is a whole different kettle of fish, especially if you get to the more upper echelons in Europe, where you literally have almost no downtime. If you're working for like the World Endurance Championship or Formula One, that's literally your life is just doing that.
Yeah. I saw something too happened. I'm trying to think. It popped up last 2 weeks ago. It was a counterfeit part of some kind. Something to do with a valve body. And it ended up being sold through Jags or Summit, and it was a counterfeit. You remember seeing that?
I remember seeing bits of it, yeah. So they were having to take like everything off the shelf out of the warehouses and investigate that.
Yeah. And there was and it was funny because they're showing the guy that had come up with, I can't remember his name. God, I should write this stuff down. And he was talking about, and you would think so he came up with this groundbreaking valve body or whatever for whatever that was used in race cars. You'd think he'd be a lot more wealthy, but you could tell by looking at the shop. Nope. He's made a comfortable living, but I mean, it never made him rich. You know what I mean? Like, just he's doing it for the passion of doing it. And that was an interesting thing because I remember it was kind of shining a light on guys were talking more and more about how, but it was trying to say, oh, Jegs is doing this. And then Jegs is like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, we just buy, them from a certain supplier. If they put the wrong part in his box, are we at fault or is he at fault? Like, it was stupid, right? It became a whole match online. It's just like, I get it. I want to side with him, not with Jags. They're the multi-billion-dollar company, but I mean, it's the same as like people were talking. I can't believe the amount of hate that's online right now for Edelbrock as of late. Like, everybody's saying their stuff is trash now.
Oh, well, they're probably getting a lot of their stuff made in China, probably, or offshore. And I think I have heard the quality's gone down a little bit, but
yeah. And then somebody was saying, I think it was comp cams is now they're having issues, which everybody that makes a camshaft is having issues with. That's an oil thing, I think, not just the material that the cam's made out of. But, I mean, look how many OE cams fail, right? Like, you can't really say that it's 100%. And to be fair, it's more the lifter that fails than the cam. The lifter fails and then takes the cam with it. So, But we sat through a class on Tuesday night, and they talked about AFM, different multi-displacement systems, that kind of thing, and how and it was interesting. But it all comes back to, like, we all kind of knew. You get to know the pattern failures and why is it happening, and then what's the fix. Most of the time, put an engine in it. But they showed some of the new ones that are coming along where how they're going to do it right on the top of the rocker and actually make the rock two-piece. It's just looking at it going, that's ridiculous. These cars, and then of course, like the same thing with the extended oil change interval. The guy was saying, like, it's going to be fine if the customers will go back to changing oil every 5,000 K, but with 8 and 10 and 12,000 kilometer interval, these engines aren't going to make it out of warranty. So
no, that's even the problem we've been seeing, or they have with as I think the last time I talked to you, we were just starting some valve seal replacement issues with turbos because the extended I think it was actually a seal issue, but with the extended intervals makes it even worse. You run out of oil faster, so the oil light comes on. So we're having to do valve seals in the car. That's actually fun, and my tinkery brain loves actually doing that. I was like, oh, I get to do some valve seals. They're in the car. I use my brain for a bit. So
yeah, I did. The last head that I really stripped down was in a 3.5 in a Magnum years ago, because the keepers were too tight, so it wouldn't rotate, and they'd carbon up really bad and pit the valve right off. And I remember I just did one, I did 3 or 4 under warranty, and it was getting towards where they were out of warranty, and then they'd revised it, so there was only a few cars coming in. And I remember started like prepping the customer for the when they were out of warranty, the cost, and they're like, no thanks, not doing it. Like, it's just a little bit of a misfire, turn the light on, I'll leave it. And it was funny, it was always Magnums. It wasn't same engine in a Charger, not nearly as often, but in the Magnum, I think it was just the weight of the vehicle, or the way maybe it was set up suspension wise or something. It was just like the customers didn't rev it up high enough. Something it would the carbon would build and pit, and now he was showing us the rings and stuff. Well, you see it, right? Like Mazda does it too. That the low tension oil rings and the crappy oil, and I shouldn't say crappy oil, the extended interval, right? Like, it's just GDI and everything. It's bad. It's getting really bad.
Yeah, so even in my mom's car, she has a 23 CX30. She finally got a new car. If you want, here's a customer. This kind of an aside. Here's a customer that is buying a car until it's completely used up.
Yeah, she
is on her 4th new car since 1979.
Wow.
She had a 79 T-Bird, a 90 Corsica, an 04 Accord, and now she has a 23.
So she got 14 years out of a Corsica.
Yeah, somehow. I think the ass end of it got rebuilt because it got smushed. It's had an engine put in it because 3.1. Yep. And it eventually just rotted out in the front. And then she got an 04 Accord that she put 488,000 kilometers on until it was getting a little soft in the back end, and she's still working and can afford some payments for a newer vehicle to be able to go see the grandkids here and there and cart the grandkids. So
she's got a CX-9.
30.
CX-30, excuse me.
Yeah, a small one. A small one. She's just capable of driving the small car. She don't need a big one. She's only like 5'1", 5'2". She's
I had a friend that had a Corsica in high school, and I think we tried to kill that more than once and couldn't do it. I think he put 2 engines in it though, for sure. But I mean,
tough to do. And the other week, you know what I saw? A Tempest. Like the same thing. There's I saw a Neon the other day, like an actual Neon, not an SR 2.0 or whatever they are. It was an actual Neon. Like, Lord, where did this come from?
Yeah, we don't, and that's the thing. Even up here, we don't see even SX2s anymore unless it's summertime. It's somebody's, which
usually an SRT4, but the rest of them had all been recycled into new Chrysers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but first gen Neon, I can't think of even the last time I've seen one. Probably, I mean, I've seen them, but like now, if you saw it in traffic, you'd be like, where the hell did they find that? Like, I mean, they're all rotted away a long time ago. So they were good. I love those cars. They're so easy to make money on.
They're hilarious.
Oh, and fast though. Some of them are quick. Like, I talk about my service manager, the first Dodge dealer I ever worked at. He had an ACR Neon, which was American Club Racer, 2-door, manual steering, manual brakes, and he built himself a little nitrous kit for it. Just sprayed it right on top of the throttle body. Like just basic. No tune, no nothing. Just like, and he went out and he spanked a lot of faster cars than him because like he was a good driver. And then it was just like he didn't care. Like he put pistons in it probably every other week.
Yeah.
He melt one down. It's like because he was doing that's when the pistons were noisy. So like he always had a set of pistons hanging around that it came out for under warranty for something else. And he put it because he didn't care if it was noisy. He just like I needed to hold together. And yeah, he raced that thing hard, like street racing. He beat a lot of 5 liters. He beat a lot of Mustangs. Like he beat a lot of Hondas. Like it was a quick car, fun. I don't know where it would be now because the ACR even was not super common.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd only ever seen 2 in the dealer, and then the first SRT4 I ever drove, that thing scared me. That was fun to drive, like stick shift. It was a lot of fun. It was quick, really quick. I hated that though because it was 4 doors. It just killed that car. So.
But there were power windows up front, but manual windows in the back.
Right. Yeah. So stupid, right? Like who does that? Like, but
save some weight in the back, but I don't know. That doesn't kill me. I was like, seriously? First time I saw one, I was like, who does this? Like,
yeah.
You sure it wasn't made wrong?
Yeah. Nobody's ever going to sit back there probably with this car, but I mean, hey, like, yeah, whatever. Right. Like, which is fine. Then nobody's going to sit back there. Don't sell it with a back seat. Like just put some Lexan windows in it and leave it. Like, but yeah, I think if you probably go to some of the racetracks on a Friday night, whatever, where the guys are running, super stocks or whatever, you'll probably still see a Neon running around there or something. But, like, yeah, who knows how many times that engine's been apart in that car. So
yeah, probably 47 or so this in the last 3 years. But
yeah.
But we're back onto the oil life intervals. I think we've been pushing the 8. Keep our customers to the 8K, even if it. We've got the system where it'll go up to 16K, but try to keep them at the 8K. We're not having the oil run out because no one's checking their oil until it comes in for service or the oil light comes on.
Yeah,
and that's where we were seeing the problems with the valve seals on the turbo engines, big time. But that was a fun warranty job to do.
Yeah, didn't pay well.
It actually. I won't tell you the times, but I've got it down to almost half of warranty time. I can do it. The first one it took me an hour or more over that, but with any job like that, I like to research the hell out of it ahead of time. They had videos up, read how to do it, watched the videos on how to do it, and the first one I do it, I'm watching the video, getting it right first time because something else we can touch on is. You see a lot of techs nowadays are more worried about their flag time. They're worried about, they're worried about getting, paid for the hours rather than, paid for the job they're doing rather than doing the job they're getting paid for.
Yeah.
And they're worried about that, then they can get in their own head or, cut corners. And that's not a job to cut corners on, but it's so doing the valve seals, the cams stay in. And everything, you're just putting the piston at top dead center, not even pressurizing the cylinder because the valve won't actually drop down low enough.
Right.
And the spring has enough spring to it, you can collapse it and put it all in.
Nice.
But I managed to knock it down to about almost half of warranty time. So I can knock out 2 of those and a couple brake jobs in a day. And
are they coming in a lot, Chris?
In our area, they weren't. Some guys I was talking to at training, they were. They had them stacked up for a while, but they didn't like doing their jobs. And I was talking to one guy and he was astounded I could do it the way I was doing it. But that comes down to a lot of, muscle memory. And as we touched on earlier on, the obsession with having, all the ratchets, all the everything. I had an electric ratchet on one side for going the bolt to go up, a ratchet on the other side for the bolt to go down.
Yeah.
Then I've got 2 different hand ratchets, one for on, one for off, and a torque wrench to 2 Newton meters set up.
Yeah.
And I can fire those off no problem. But it's having all the tools set up and
I went and bought a second electric ratchet, and I was like, oh, that was stupid. I'll never use it. And it's like amazing now. Right? You don't even change sockets. You just pick up the other ratchet. Like same thing as yours hand. Like
I've got 3 3/8 ratchets or electric ratchets. I've got 2 1/4-inch ones, a short and a long one, and a bunch of different impact guns with everything attached. I can just, if I'm doing a job across the shop, I just load up my bucket with all my extra tools and a ratchet on or a socket on each ratchet. Because some of our cars are 14 on the front, 13 on the rear. Just pick a different ratchet rather than have to change sockets and save time.
I find that was one of the biggest hurdles I did for really getting my speed up, because I'm not fast, was just better organization on tools on a cart. Like that helped immensely. If I could keep it all localized, I'd really spend my time up. And that was something I probably bought my first service cart like 2006. And now it's just, as the box gets bigger, you put more in the cart, but it still helps to be able to just like reach behind you, grab that out of the drawer, go right back to the car. It's instead of having to like at the back of when I think now, like how many steps I've made walking from the back axle to the toolbox. Like now, if I can't, I look at the size of the shop now. If I can't look like I can move my cart around in it reasonably well, I don't want to work there, because it's just going to be, you're going to be fighting it, trying to get it between the hoists and everything else. It's just little things when guys design shops, they need to think about that kind of stuff. Like, spaces. Yeah, we could jam one more hoist in. Sure.
You can't walk between them, but you have to walk under a car.
Yeah. For
sure. If the car is mid-level, you have to walk around all the way around the shop. But like doing a job like that, I've got like 5 17 mil 3/8 sockets, so I can
How
just look for the next one.
You said you got 2 apprentices that are working with you.
That we do. One, he should be going for his second year. You can only get in for day release because the block program fills up within 45 seconds of it opening. Just like the campgrounds. But he went through the OYAP program, which is the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. So that's at the end of high school. You just go, you're working in a shop as your first year, then you do some schooling with that. So that covers your first year. But he's really come a long way of giving him enough direction when he was a co-op student and B, a younger apprentice. He's followed what I've done. He's listened well and taken direction. I just leave him in the corner. Don't have to worry about any of the work he's calling. And if he has questions about anything, he comes and asks and looks for direction. And that's all I can ask them. Because I used to have, as I talked about, when you worry about, you're making your hours or not, especially in flat rate, you get anxiety about that. Like, I want that job because it's, that pays better than the one I've got. But I know nowadays, we've worked our system out, I can give them as much customer pay as work. I'll be getting work. I'll get work, and I don't have to worry about, taking over their jobs or anything. Just let them go.
And that came about, you were saying, as you're talking earlier, with some of the changes at the shop for your pay.
Yeah, that a bit before that too, where I started advocating a lot more for our apprentices. Whereas sometimes I would see, sometimes it's out of necessity where we need them to do something else, and we need a tech to take over. Nowadays, we're just leaving the apprentices go, and that's how they're learning to do their job. And they're more productive for the shop. They're generating more hours, and the shop is better off for it. So and we're training them to do the work our way, do it the right way. And they're going to stay there. They're going to want to stay there, hopefully forever.
A career. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We saw the conversation come up in TikTok. I don't know if you saw it or not. One of the guys was talking about apprenticeship and mentorship into the industry, and where we're absolutely dropping the ball. But it's so funny, right? Because when you talk to the guys down in the States about how we do it up here, immediately there's so much kickback. Oh, I don't want the government involved at all. I mean, I get it, but like, I think our system up here works pretty good. It really does. Like, now it's not a new system. It's been refined several times, right?
Yeah.
And it's not as far from perfect, but I mean, you know, you came up through it. I came up through it. Like, you know, lots of other guys I've talked to.
It sets like, you know, at least your base level where that's, it's all like anything. It's down to the shops, the individual shops to do with that what they can. You know, you're going to get some shops where you're going to be sticking an apprentice on the lube rack forever and expect them to know anything.
Yeah.
And you can if you don't teach them, and it's investing in them.
Yeah.
That pays off at the end and makes the system work.
My boss is big on that. He's taken that real challenge and really tried to address it. We've got a co-op student that comes in. She's in every morning, almost every morning, three mornings of the week. Because again, we're not open Fridays, or four mornings. Yeah. So, and she works half a day. She's doing good. She likes it. The girl we had previous semester, she liked it too, but she just didn't have it. I don't think it's going to be in her wheelhouse. I think whereas this young lady, Erin, she's got mechanics in the family. I think it's an uncle is a retired mechanic, and they do a lot of work at home for the rest of the family members of the shop. So she's been growing up around it. And so she really likes it. But, you know, it's funny to see because it's just a little thing, right? So I'm watching her like that CV axle. We were getting ready to torque the axle nut. And, you know, so it's like 158 foot-pounds to torque this axle nut. And she grabs the torque wrench and she starts pulling it towards her. And I'm like, you want to be careful of that, because if that slips off, you're going to punch yourself right in the bottom lip. Yeah. And so I said, you should try and push it away from her. Well, the poor girl's so little, right, that it's like everything she can do to like push on, because she don't weigh 158 pounds, right? So
and grab onto the fender, stand on the end of it to get it to
but
click.
She got it done. But she's like, and I'm like, you know, and like she'll come over and I'll be like, what's she trying to get an oil filter off, and she couldn't get it off, and I reached up and just literally like, and she looks at me like, how do you, and it's like, first of all, I'm like 4 of you my size, and then second of all, I said, honey, it's just like, it's 30 years of doing it. Like our hands are different now, right? Like they just, you know,
I do that with our apprentices every once in a while. I can't get this off, and I come over with my dad's strength, and you know,
my friend Lee Forget that was on here, he talks about, you know, it's not a coincidence. He says that all the old mechanics, when you see them, they look like, you know, gorillas, big shoulders, big necks, like crippled up and hunched over. He says it's just what it does to you. But yeah, it's the same thing. My brother lifts weights, and it's like, you know, when he compares even my hand strength and his, he's like, what do you, and it's all day, every day, man. It's just the way it goes. Like your body adapts. So it's, she's doing really well, and I hope that I'd like to keep her on through the summer and get her, because she's starting to get really up to speed on, you know, tires and oil changes and doing the DVI thing. And that's where it's important, because like, you know, this industry is more and more is about inspecting the car properly, right? Like it's not just about, I used to think it's just smarts. And then now I realize that it's like, most of this is like documentation and proper inspections. Like, because if you do that, it certainly helps your odds of even being able to sell the work, you know, especially now as the economic times become a little tighter. People are a little more fussy about how it's actually presented to them, you know?
Oh yeah. It's helped our sales, sales quite a lot. But the customers are seeing that like, wow, I didn't realize this much, and we're selling a lot more. That's the other thing we've been starting the last year and a bit and pushing hard is for DVIs. We have to do one on, you know, every vehicle that comes in,
right?
Even if it's say it's coming back for some work, you know, we'll just do not even a full inspection. We're just doing a quick video. Like, here's your nice shiny new brakes. You know, you knocked your mirror off last week. Here's your nice new mirror. Yeah. You know, little things like that. Or if we're doing you know, some diagnostic work, you know, here's what we found, doing videos on that. But
I've always been Yeah. I've always been a very stickler for like trying to film or take a picture of what I find when I do the diag. Like, here's the rotted wire right here. You know, or like I do it more now. I just take like videos of the scanner when it's happening, when it's rolling, and just take it with my phone because I suck at like computer stuff. So like, yeah, I can hit the button and take the snapshot and save the recording, and then but after I got it back to the shop, I would have no idea. My boss could go and get it, like it's uploaded to the cloud and whatnot. But I mean, it's just easier for me to like take the phone out, like pull over the side of the road, take the phone out, get it to duplicate it, and then just film it. And then I can stick that right on the DVI from my phone, and you know, here you go. It's you know, it's such a big thing. Somebody was talking how they feel like if we hit another economic downfall, then the 300% rule is going to be like a detriment and not a. I don't see that happening because I still think like it may not be able to. We might be able to sell anything off of it, but I think now the door is open. The customers are used to it, and I think they're going to stick with it. They're going to want to know. They're not going to buy nothing if there's no proof, right?
Yeah.
But like if there's no proof, we don't even have a chance. So I think it's good and bad. I still struggle with it. Like I'm so used to just like it needs a control arm, you know, and that's it.
Right on your work order. Here you go, and you know, price it out. But
and the play thing, trying to show people sometimes the play is tough because then it's like a 2-man thing, right? Somebody's got to hold the camera, somebody's got to shake it. You got to get it on video because the static picture obviously doesn't show it.
Yeah.
And another one there, wheel bearing in a what the hell was that? A Ford Econoline, noisy wheel bearing, tapered inner and outer, right? So it's like I took the brake pads right off. There's the bracket hanging there. Nothing's touching the rotor. Spin it. You know, get it on film. Cool. Customer's like, great. You know, it's that kind of thing is harder to catch. That's why, you know,
you're not sure if it actually translates on the other end of the video. Can you actually hear the humming? Well,
yeah. And then so you could spend sometimes like 10 minutes trying to get one part as a video. That's the part that like really time adds up. So shop owners, if you're listening, like give your people like proper time to do these. You know, one shop owner I know, he does the DVIs are all free, and the expected time that the customer expected time that the tech should take is an hour. And it's pretty competent check. Like it's a pretty complete check, and it's an hour, you know. Shouldn't be expecting our guys to do them for like 25 minutes. You're not really getting much for 25 minutes, you know? So
for a full inspection, like we're doing ours, you get the multi-point, which is just whatever is on our sheet. You're just checking out the basics on our sheet. Then our sheet, the digital inspection, because everything's on the computer now. But just covering the basics, or if I'm in a diag, then you know that's where the 300% rule, you know, I find doesn't apply. You can't, you know, say, oh, you need all this stuff that wasn't in your scope of, you know, they didn't ask you to look at. Sometimes, but if I'm doing an engine misfire, I've got the hood up, well, I'll peek around while your belt's about to fly off. You get an oil leak over here, as well as all this other stuff. Or if I have the vehicle up and you notice the wheels are falling off, then you can recommend that if it's.
But I saw like it's the same thing. We were talking about it last month. You know, I've heard of guys like, oh, it's in for a wiper blade, and they're racking the car. Like that to me is just like you look too desperate to the customer, I think, when you do it that way. I mean, I'm sure there's coaches out there like, listen, it works. It's the same as the conversation we had about waiters. Becky Witt, I shared that thing, and she was talking about how she doesn't even allow them.
Yeah.
And then somebody says, oh, it works really good for me. I know it can work. I'm not saying it can't. Nobody's saying it doesn't work. We have a whole history in the industry of it working. But for all the times that it works in terms of selling work, it also does set that pace in the shop of the anxiety level goes up. Because, you know, and it like advisors that are listening, if the customer asks you how much longer, and it hasn't even been the time that's been conveyed and communicated as to what to expect, don't go like, don't go out in the shop just to appease the customer and ask the tech. That's just pissing the tech off, right? If you want to make it look like you did, go out in the shop and then, go to the bathroom or go and then walk back in. But like coming out to us when it's only been 45 minutes and you told it'd be an hour, you're not achieving anything except that you're trying to appease that customer who already is showing you like they shouldn't be a waiter. They're not. They're too keyed up. They're too impatient. Like they're already were sitting there going, schedule was already stressing them, and it's been 45 minutes, and then they knew it's going to be an hour, and they showed up 15 minutes late, and that's supposed to be still your fault, not theirs. Like, if all that would go away tomorrow, I'd be such a happy boy in this industry because it just it adds so many people get anxiety as soon as a customer's waiting, and it's like I understand. They come in, they're waiting, you have them there, you can show them the damage, but that's what the DVI is supposed to be for. They're supposed to be able to have their phone in their hand anywhere that they are and look at the thing. There's the same thing, Then if you really want to come over and I'll show it to you, then you could drive back over. Yeah. But when you're not in the waiting room, you're not.
Here's your loaner. Please.
That's right.
Bugger off for a while. Come back eventually.
Yeah. Dealerships. That's what I miss. Is like dealers like I say, the first dealer I ever worked in, they had 2 shuttle vans running nonstop all day long. Like they would take people from Ottawa and drive them over into Quebec.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. Like they thought nothing of that. That's a 45-minute in traffic trip every day.
Yeah.
You do it twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. They didn't care. They'd pick up parts of the other dealer coming back. Like we use those guys. God bless them. But now it's like the other independent shops. They don't seem to get on the idea that it's like, okay, you got 4 people there. It's 9:00. There's 4 people. Like they were supposed to be, not waiting, and then they come in and they decide they're going to wait.
Yeah.
Like get them in your van and get them out of here. Like take them somewhere. Take them to work. Take them to McDonald's. Take them to Tim Hortons. Like get them the hell out of this shop. Like you're just keying everybody up. Like just.
Especially bad if you're on a Saturday. I hate everyone always. We try not to let people wait on Saturdays. I would prefer a Saturday. Just, I don't care. You give me an apprentice, 8 jobs to do. Just everyone come in at 8:00, drop off your keys, put a stack of work orders and keys out there, then bugger off. I'll tell you what the car needs. You sell it. We'll get it done. Everyone comes and picks up at 12.
Or reschedule, right? Like it's just, we got talking too. Lucas does it at his shop, where they do inspections and diag in the morning, and that's how they schedule their day, and then repairs are done in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And it seems to work really well. And I should really have him on at some point to talk better about how they do that, break it right down, because I think it's like it would really work. I've seen it work in person, and it's like morning is hustle in, inspect out, that way the guys have got time, and then in the afternoon they start pulling in the car that they maybe looked at 8 that morning. It comes back in at 1:00, and then they start doing the repair. Or the next day is when they pull it in at 1:00. Like, but they always know morning is inspection and diag day time.
Yeah, by the time that's been quoted out and accepted, and all the parts are on the bench ready to go. Yeah, not waiting on a part here and there. But
you're not looking at like an AC problem at 3:00 on a Friday afternoon when they close at 5. That's like shouldn't even be doing. Yes, she wanted it fixed, but
reminds me of a few weeks ago. So we just had our second best month, April, or month ever was our April. So we hit 666 hours, which normally is with 3 3/4 people, because our one apprentice was off sick for about a week.
Right.
And the one day I think I had his hoist and my hoist, and I was juggling them between them and parking them outside. Thankfully, all the customers were getting loaners. All right, or here's a ride, bugger off. All the work, they couldn't not sell the work on the car, so I managed to crank out 24 hours of work and
awesome.
in a 9-hour period, just juggling cars left, right, and center.
Yeah, it can be done. People that think that it can be done. But it's process, right? It comes back to, it's not the tech is able to do the job any faster. What it is the tech doesn't waste a second. All the parts are already there. Tools are already there. The work's already sold. It's flow. It's not.
No one's bugging you, and that's where I always wind up getting slowed down. Is being shop foreman, I'm bugged 30, 40, 50 times a day.
Yeah.
A minute here, a minute there. But
it adds up for sure. What do you got to say in closing, Chris? What do you think?
I think in closing, I'd like to thank you very much, for doing this podcast, which is great. I listen to it as often as I can, unless the kid's fussing in the back, then I got to put on some music to drown him out or to appease him.
Yeah,
Metallica usually works well. But and I think talking to you the last time, I think I was talking about my struggles growing up and getting past some of those, and it's helped give me a voice and give me a better outlook and a better way to proceed with things, which has helped at work. Like my manager and I have a better understanding. We work amazingly well together now, and we're running a tight ship and a very productive and a very successful ship now.
And that's got to be very rewarding, right? For him to see, if a relationship at work can improve, like that's, because we always we can work together, but when two people really start to click on a better level, it's even better. It's,
and I've gotten a lot better direction from our general manager as well. I think I took some after hours training from Oscar Gomez. He's an amazing trainer, and my general manager had no problem of, here's a check.
Yeah,
let's go, just get it done. So that gave me the confidence to be able to do that. So just in our talk and our venting or my kind of venting, and like I talked about our my oldest child has ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder, and it's one of those. I'm pretty darn sure that I've got it. So I've actually started down the road of the adult diagnosis for that as well, which is supposed to be on Tuesday, but that's going to get way late until next month. So, but starting down that journey.
You're not alone in it. There is a lot, as I meet more and more technicians and owners and people in this industry. You're not alone. There are so many that are on it. It's incredible. I think it's what makes some of them really good.
It probably does, yeah. But I think having the self-realization there, that's why, going through the process and realizing, why it was, I think I was a toxic employee. If you've the toxic tech before, and they've managed to turn that around at Coburg Mazda and with Coburg Mazda, and turning that into a successful career. I mean, they want to see me retire from there, so I mean, they're like, we want you here forever.
That feels good to hear, right? I mean, and it's not just because they've got a bunch of money and time invested into you, but they see you as an asset, right? Like that's huge. I mean, and the podcasting for me, all the support I get, and thanks for you for being so loyal and always supporting me, is because this is just therapy for me. It really is. It's so simple to just have the conversations and connect with people, and it's not. We've got some exciting things coming up for ASDA. What we're going to be doing. We're working on kind of behind the scenes on some conversations that are going to happen, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then it's like, if it takes off like I think it can, and it becomes a reoccurring thing, then huge how many people it could actually really reach. Because it's going to be something that stays, something that people can pull up and research and hear again and again, and then, because not everybody hears every episode, not every episode resonates with everybody, but I mean, every week more and more people are, and it's funny because some episodes that I think are just okay, other people go, my God, your conversation with that person was fantastic, and I'm going, all right, I didn't like. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that when you're having a conversation, and then when you go back and listen to it, you're like, wow. Yeah, okay, I get it, what they're talking about now. Yeah. And that's just like, we come on here, we don't come on. It's so just natural. It's as if you and I are sitting here having a coffee talking about our week at work. Like, you work at one dealership and I work at another, and we get together and I used to do that with all my friends all the time. And that's just what this has become for me, so
like before our previous talk, I probably wouldn't even have done that, to be honest. So like coming on and talking with you, kind of fanboying here, or fangirl, but like you've done great for the industry and great for us, and I like to thank you very much for what you've done.
I stand on the shoulders of people like the guy on your shirt, like that's those people gave me Mr. Scanner Danner.
He's
next level human being, right? So the stuff that he's doing with his charities and stuff now is just, if I can have that kind of impact at the end in some way, then this will be more than it was ever expected of me to do in this industry. So I'll be very fortunate. I am very fortunate. There's no doubt about it. I'm very blessed. So anyway, I will let you get back to your Victoria Day weekend. I just wanted to thank you for coming on. So it's good to see that things are improving, and I mean, you'll be here again for sure. It's reach out to me anytime you want, whatever you're going through, whatever you're challenging, interesting stuff, let me know, man. We see each other quite a bit online, and share more as much as you can, because I mean it's interesting to me. It's a brand that I'm not super familiar with. I don't get a ton of them, but I mean all right.
And if you are, if anyone's ever down the Coburg way, poutine's on me.
Love it. All right, I'll let you go. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Hey, if you could do me a favor real quick and comment on, and share this episode, I'd really appreciate it. And please, most importantly, set the podcast to automatically download every Tuesday morning. As always, I'd like to thank our amazing guests for their perspectives and expertise, and I hope that you'll please join us again next week on this journey of change. Thank you to my partners in the ASA group and to the Changing the Industry podcast. Remember what I always say, in this industry, you get what you pay for. Here's hoping everyone finds their missing 10mm, and we'll see you all again next time.